Nate Diaz carved a unique mark in the UFC. The fighting pride of Stockton has perhaps the sport's strangest road to stardom. The younger Diaz brother enthralled fight fans with his distinct fighting style, which combined world-class boxing with the occasional Stockton slap and black belt Gracie jiu-jitsu skills. Add his in-fight antics to the mix, and you have the complete fan-favorite package. The scene where he threw the double birds while flexing, all the while Kurt Pellegrino was suffocating in the Diaz Triangle, will always be one of the most gangster scenes to happen in the octagon. Nate exploded onto the scene by winning the Ultimate Fighter Season 5, and then securing 6 straight post-fight bonuses, albeit not every fight going his way. But after Nate's initial success in the UFC, he started alternating wins and losses, and quickly became dissatisfied with the UFC's paychecks and attitude. His feud with the promotion dragged for years, as they painted him as a complaining villain. Nate felt he never got the promotional push he deserved, despite his always exciting performances. At one point, he even got removed from the rankings due to inactivity. But then one interview changed everything. The post-fight call-out in 2015 after his flawless Michael Johnson performance made Nate an overnight star.
Yeah, Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for. I'm gonna fight your ass.
His emphatic win over McGregor further cemented him as a mainstream superstar. More than a few times, the king of the 209 has looked unstoppable in the cage. Let us refresh your memory and highlight some of Nate's most glorious performances. Michael Johnson. We start off with the fight that opened the way for Nate to stardom. Before he faced Johnson, Nate asked the UFC to release him from his contract, but the night in Orlando changed everything. Despite his mixed performances, Michael Johnson was, and still is, one of the sharpest and fastest strikers in the lightweight division. He also holds wins over Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson, and Edson Barboza. The first round saw the pair utilize their predicted tactics. Johnson was using his blistering speed and throwing low kicks. Diaz kept his distance and used his range to find the home for his long straights that gradually started to land more and more. In the second round, Nate found his mark even more often, while soaking some hard shots himself, until he finally cracked Johnson's defense and started landing the 1-2 almost at will, all the while taunting and laughing at Johnson's face.
He's putting a lot of pressure and he's landed a lot. There he goes again. Oh, he hurt him there, and Nate just pointed to him and said, "Oh, I hurt you. Look at that." Oh, my goodness.
Michael came out desperate in the third and tried to swarm Diaz, but Nate stunned him again and again to put a stamp on his flawless performance. After the decision was announced, Nate got the microphone and skyrocketed his career in less than a minute.
Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for. I'm gonna fight your ass.
Unfortunately, we can't talk like that on Fox.
Anthony Pettis. After Nate lost to McGregor in their epic rematch, the Stockton brother went on to yet another lengthy layoff. His return after nearly 3 years was a welterweight bout against Anthony Pettis, who a few months earlier became the first man to knock out Wonder Boy Thompson. From the first bell, Nate followed his usual style of heavy forward pressure with volume punching. Pettis' Achilles' heel has always been dealing with forward pressure, and Nate never let go of the gas pedal. Showtime landed some sharp counters and heavy low kicks in the first, but he also gave up his back on the ground more than once. In the second, Nate intensified the forward pressure on the tiring Pettis. Nate used his legendary cardio to get Anthony back onto the cage, where he pounded on strike after strike from close range. The third round began and Nate put Pettis back on the cage yet again and continued drowning him with non-stop hooks, uppercuts, and knees. The brutal knee onslaught put the former lightweight champ on the floor, nearly ending the fight, but Pettis managed to defend and survive to hear the final bell.
Awesome triangle, it goes in, Pettis steps over, good defense, awesome fight.
An incredibly impressive performance after a 3-year layoff, to say the least. Nate used the moment to make another call-out, guaranteeing himself a major payday alongside fellow badass Jorge Masvidal.
Jorge Masvidal had a good last fight. So I know my man's a gangster, but He ain't no West Coast gangster. You know what I'm saying?
Donald Cerrone. Back in 2011, Nate Diaz and Donald Cerrone were not yet legends of the sport, but rising contenders, forging their own names and trying to get to the lightweight belt. Cowboy entered the contest on a 7-fight win streak and was highly regarded as one of the top strikers in the UFC.
At this time, you can touch gloves. Or not.
Both men came out guns blazing, but it was Nate who landed more often early on. He threw punches with his patented low power, high volume, and found it difficult to miss. Cowboy was beaten up badly by the end of the first, and the lack of head movement and takedown attempts made him an easy target as the volume of Diaz didn't leave any gaps for counters. In the second, Cowboy resorted to the best weapon against Diaz, the low kick. He even swept Nate more than a few times, but despite losing the stand-up battle, decided to let Diaz stand up each time. Nate started the third round like a Diaz does, with a pair of middle fingers aimed at his opponent. In this round, the Nate striking clinic continued. Cerrone ditched the only working strike for him and continued to eat punch after punch. Nate landed long punches and masterfully moved just enough to avoid the counters. By the end of the fight, Nate outlanded Cowboy 260 to 104, landing a record-breaking 82% of the strikes he threw. Conor McGregor. We finally arrive at UFC 196 in the star-making performance of Nate Diaz. Prior to that fight, Conor McGregor looked invincible at featherweight and was coming off a 13-second knockout of the legend Jose Aldo. Nate smack-talked his way into fighting Conor, who was in need of a new opponent after Rafael dos Anjos had to pull out. With only 11 days' notice, Nate and McGregor agreed to fight at welterweight, a new challenge for Conor, but somewhat familiar waters for Nate. Conor was the first to land his trademark straight left, but Nate quickly closed the gap and made him work. The advantages of both men were clear. Nate had the range and started finding it, while McGregor clearly had the power and explosive advantage and managed to bloody Nate up with an overhand left. His punches were more effective, but Nate started to land more midway through the round. Near the end of the first stanza, Nate caught a lazy McGregor kick and took the Irishman to the ground, only to find himself on his back.
Round one in the books.
McGregor started the second round violently and scored some nice shots both upstairs and to the body. But where McGregor's other opponents would have fallen, beaten by his thunderous lefts, the bloodied Nate persevered and saw the double champion significantly slow down from the effort. Suddenly, it was Diaz time, and a piston of a left hand stung the Irishman. Nate became relentless, and a few more successful punches turned Conor into a wrestler. Once on the ground, the result was predictable. Nate needed a few seconds to lock in a rear naked choke and secure the biggest win of his career.
He's done it! It is all over! Nate Diaz beats Conor McGregor!
He just shook up the world.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Traveling on a winding road, Nate Diaz has delighted us for over a decade with his entertaining fighting style and his genuinely badass personality. Let us hope he has a few more legendary scraps left before he finally hangs up the gloves back in Stockton. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video.